Hi, welcome to our first episode of True Crime with ABJAC.
Hi, my name is Jalea,
I'm Ahmad.
and we're going to be looking into the Gypsy Rose Blanchard's case today. So let's go ahead and get into it.
It's Mayberry. We're moving to Mayberry.
It didn't take a lot to convince Dee Dee and her daughter Gypsy Rose to make a new home in Aurora. They already knew it was meant to be.
It is the perfect town.
Yeah, if you want to step out, by policy, we're going to have to put some handcuffs on you. Okay, just turn face away and put your hands behind your back.
24-year-old Gypsy Blanchard stood in the courtroom looking scared and nervous as she admitted to planning and killing her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard.
How do you plead to the Class A felony of murder in the second degree?
Guilty to second-degree murder.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard was born on July 27th, 1991, in Raceland, Louisiana. To the outside world, her childhood was characterized by a serious illness and constant treatment. Her mother, Claudine, known as Dee Dee Blanchard, informed the doctors, neighbors, and charitable organizations that Gypsy had many disorders, including muscular, make sure I'm saying this right, dystrophia, leukemia, seizures, and developmental delays. Gypsy was very frequently observed in a wheelchair and was taken to hospitals regularly to seek treatments and tests. There was a show made back in, I'm going to guess, 2015 named The Act. It was based off her case, and it's on Hulu. It was a really, really good show. It kind of gave you like everything you need to know about the case. I like to see things, so that show made me kind of like, it gave me a different perspective in the case basically. However, as the story unfolds, investigators found that most of these diseases has been exaggerating. So most of them wasn't really necessary. Like all the treatment she was getting was not that necessary. It was later concluded that the actions of Dee Dee is basically called Munchausen syndrome by proxy, a condition where a parent or caregiver purposefully causes illness in a child they are responsible for to gain emotional support or attention. The identification of this pattern would ultimately transfer how people interpret the case as a whole, such as me. Everything in this case was very wrong, but it was, she had a disease as well. So it's like you kind of have to see each and every side of the story. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, but I feel like even then, even if you do have a disease, why didn't you get help or seek help?
I feel like.
And another thing is too, yes, people know what they're doing at the end of the day. So she knew, Dee Dee knew what she was doing to Gypsy, and it ultimately just came for Gypsy to find out that she really was not sick.
Exactly.
And I do have out in the act that you can sometimes in when they take a true crime story and they actually are putting it into a movie or a show, they exaggerate a few scenes.
Exactly.
But I feel I do like how they did that because it like you said, it paints a bigger picture of what actually really was happening to Gypsy. I remember it when I was watching The Act on Hulu, it was the scene where they went to the physicians and Dee Dee had stole what is it called?
I know exactly.
The book where they write the prescriptions and send them off to the pharmacy, and that way she could get more medicine. And I remember in The Act, it was talking about how one of the medicines that Gypsy was on was for dogs.
That doesn't make sense. I feel like Dee Dee, she kind of had, I feel like she knew what she was doing a little bit. I feel like, not even a little bit. I think it's just now, if you're giving your child dog medicine,
Right. You know what you're doing at the end of the day.
There's no reason for you to be giving Gypsy dog medicine. There's nothing, there's a pattern when it comes to true crime shows, they're going to exaggerate everything. For the recent Monster series where they had the Mendez brothers, they recently had Ed Gein. That series, the Monster series, I really do recommend. They exaggerated everything. Everything in the show might be oh, they actually did this, but TV shows are made to exaggerate everything, to get the person's and the audience attention.
In her early childhood, Dee Dee had gained absolute control over her daughter Gypsy's life. She used to take Gypsy to physicians and hospitals regularly, stating that her daughter had a long-term list of severe health issues. Physicians frequently used the accounts that Dee Dee gave of her symptoms in order to make healthcare choices. This led to Gypsy being prescribed drugs that she did not even require, and also having unnecessary medical procedures. On some occasions, Dee Dee even went to the extent of shaving the head of Gypsy, so she would seem to have undergone chemo to cure cancer. Such actions contributed to the strengthening of the popular image of Gypsy as seriously ill. Not many people suspect the illnesses were not genuine.
Yeah, with that, you can tell, like, there's a lot of people that kind of comes out that seems very caring, very loving, as, you know, that's the person they're trying to paint their, like, self as. But in reality, we do not know what's going on behind the scenes. So it's like this, like every case that comes up, we do not know what happened. That's the crazy thing. Like, I love to get in, like, love to know what happened. I like to get into it. I love to, you know, dig deep into things and know exactly what happened. But like in real life, that's not going to happen.
Yes. And another thing, I feel like the don't judge a book by its cover is like really goes with this case, because what do you mean nobody suspected that these illnesses weren't real? And just because she was a loving, caring mother, which honestly doesn't mean anything, because you don't know how she acted behind the closed doors with Gypsy.
Exactly. That's what like, you don't know what happens behind closed doors. That's with any situation that really happens. The Blanchard family eventually settled in Springfield, Missouri in the mid-2000s and became known to the local community due to all the, you know, charities and things, you know, that the community came and helped them with.
Dee Dee was happy enough just having medical care for Gypsy. She says she never expected this.
It's amazing. It's amazing, the outpouring of love and support.
Dr. Janet Jordan met Dee Dee and Gypsy while on a mission trip to the hurricane-ravaged areas. She says she knew right away she'd see them again.
They're like lost souls who were meant to have been born and raised in Aurora.
After arranging a helicopter ride from Louisiana to St. John's Hospital, the process began to find them a permanent home. It turns out St. John's already owned this house, and with the help of local donations, it was turned into a home.
I think that's just kind of what we're all about. You know, we're all about doing what we can to help people that are in a bad situation.
It's beautiful, and it's happy, and it's full of love.
Gypsy and Dee Dee say they're blessed. Dr. Jordan says they deserve to be.
It was pretty devastating down there, it really was. And they never ever lost hope. I think they brought hope to everybody else that was down there.
This is home to us. We have been wondering for so long, and this is finally our home.
Their case resonated with many people who provided them with the support that allowed them to cope with the alleged illnesses of Gypsy. Charities and nonprofit organizations offered financial support, vacations, and other help to the family. To illustrate, Gypsy was given unique opportunities through organizations that assisted children with life-threatening illnesses. Community members commonly view Dee Dee as a devoted mother who gave everything to care for her daughter. Nevertheless, it was later reported that Gypsy had far more limited life than anyone could ever imagine. She was homeschooled, closely supervised, and given little freedom to form normal friendships or be independent.
Gypsy began to doubt the narrative her mother had developed about her health. As she got older, she was often taken out in front of people as someone who could not walk, but Gypsy found out she could move without any help. She also developed a suspicion that not all the treatments that she was undergoing were necessary. Although she came to the realization, she continued to be extremely dependent on her mother. Gypsy had limited access to transportation, finances, and contact with others. As time went by, she was also allowed to use internet in secret. However, this opened a small window to the outside world.
So basically, her finding that little piece of internet is what basically kind of like opened everything up. Now it's like, oh, it's like us for the first time finding internet. It's like, oh, like, I didn't know I could do this. Like, you know, when we were little, we used to play with dolls and all that. But, you know, she was kept in a childlike mind for, like, she was grown. Yeah, she was grown, and Dee Dee kept her in her childlike mind. So she didn't really know a lot about the internet. And her finding internet basically impacted it made the case go into like a whole different direction, because it's like, oh, I have internet, and you know, she didn't have any friends, internet, you can find anybody on the internet, and you find anything on the internet. So when she opened it, when Gypsy found the internet, I feel like that's when the doors opened for her, and when made her realize like, oh wait, maybe this is not right. Like, you know, of course that's her mother, so she doesn't want to, you know, feel any type of way, but it was wrong. So
yeah. And I would definitely say, like, it makes you also think, like, imagine if she never, like, discovered the internet. And, like, imagine, like, they had no devices at all in the house. Like, what would happen to the case today?
Like, that's what I'm saying. Imagine that we didn't have any technology, any, like, Instagram, Facebook is what they used at the time. So Facebook, MySpace, imagine we didn't have anything and it was just no internet and she was just in that house.
Right.
We would not know, not one thing that happened in the house.
And
so,
another thing, too, is, like, wish she would have been able to be free, or wish she would have had to continue to be under Dee Dee's control?
See, it's like so many outcomes. Through online communication, she began communicating with individuals who were unaware of the constraints of her life. So basically, she started to talk to other people that didn't really know anything about her life. So she probably like catfished, and they didn't really knew anything about her. Among the most significant relationships that Gypsy established, which has something to do with this case, on the internet was with a man called Nicholas, hopefully I'm saying this right, Gaudron. In 2013, the two met on a dating site and soon started talking regularly. The discussions later became personal and emotional, and Gypsy told them about the abuse and control she thought she was getting at home. So this was the time where she started to actually discover that the things that was going on in her house was wrong. So she didn't have really anybody to go to about it. So she basically, Nicholas was the person she went to about it and kind of opened up to about her situation, because I don't think she knew what to do about the situation. Over time, the discussion shifted to whether she could escape her predicament. So she started talking to him about how she can leave and how she can get up out of her house. She later reports that she had told him that she felt confined and helpless under her mother. These discussions later became a strategy that would permanently alter their lives.
Gypsy Rose Blanchard and her boyfriend Nicholas Gaudron are facing murder charges in the death of Clananea or Dee Dee Blanchard, Gypsy's mother. Court documents say the two admitted to their part in the crime, but Dee Dee's death has uncovered an alleged pattern of financial fraud, one that may have included charities in Kansas City. So, as the case continues to unfold, more may come out about how a mother-daughter pair that seemed like the perfect story of hope
Feels so cool.
allegedly became an example of deceit.
This plan was executed in June 2015. Nicholas Gaudron went to Springfield, Missouri, where Gypsy lived with her mother. Gypsy gave him access to the house on the night of June 14th when Dee Dee was sleeping. In the attack, Gypsy is reported to have hid in the bathroom as Gaudron stabbed Dee Dee to death. The killing was a shock to the local community, since a majority thought that Dee Dee and Gypsy were a desperate mother and daughter struggling with terminal illnesses. What seemed to be a tragic accident of violence soon turned out to be a very complicated tale.
Following the murder, Gypsy and Nicholas fled to Missouri and headed towards Wisconsin, where Nicholas resided. Soon after they had taken off, an alarming alert came into Dee Dee's Facebook stating that she was dead. You can still see that message on Facebook. If you look up Dee Dee Blanchard, it's still there. And I don't know why, it's still there. And it's kind of, you know, it's very eerie. Like when you go and see things like that, that's like anything social media wise that has something to do with the case, it's kind of eerie. It's like, oh, like that was her last thing she ever put on her Facebook. She didn't put that. It was somebody else. Yeah, it was somebody else that put.
Because she felt bad that no one was going to find the body, so that's why she put it on the Facebook. So she was like, if I put this on the Facebook, then someone will find the body.
Like, that was the worst, Gypsy. Like, I just don't think that was a good decision.
Which ultimately led her to getting called.
Yeah,
this is... tracked it back to the IP address.
Her posting on Facebook literally is why she got caught. You don't put everything on Facebook. But she didn't know that at the time. She just thought, this is a way you communicate with people. It was not a good way to communicate with people, but hey. Nicholas actually posted the content. It wasn't even Gypsy, it was Nicholas.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the gag.
No, that really is gag.
Because it wasn't even Gypsy, it was
her boyfriend at the time.
Yeah, boyfriend at the time. Of course, the police started to, you know, investigate the situation, and soon they traced the online activity linked to the messages. The couple was later detected in Wisconsin, where they were arrested and charged with the crime. Their arrest was the start of the case that would gain national attention in a short time.
As the investigators started prodding deeper into the background of Gypsy, the story of the case started to take a dramatic twist. The records of medical reports and the testimony of professionals revealed that Gypsy had not been suffering from many of the diseases her mother alleged. This long-term abuse was revealed, making the crime hard to comprehend for the population.
In 2009, Fox 4 first met Gypsy and her self-proclaimed Cajun mama. The two claimed they were from Louisiana and had lost everything in Hurricane Katrina.
And no shoes, truthfully.
And to make matters worse, Gypsy, who at the time claimed to be 14 years old, also reportedly suffered from multiple medical issues. Dee Dee and Gypsy were on their way to Kansas City on an Angel flight from Springfield to be seen by doctors at Children's Mercy.
They've been a huge blessing in our life. I all the time say, between Angel Flight, the Hope Lodge, and Children's Mercy, they saved my baby's life.
Everything people thought they knew about Gypsy and Dee Dee may have been a lie. He says Gypsy doesn't even need the wheelchair she's always seen in. She walks just fine. Gypsy and her boyfriend are in jail on a $1 million bond each. As an example of alleged fraud in the Blanchards' lives, charging documents give 3 different birthdays for Gypsy.
Everybody started to suspect that Gypsy was a part of the crime, which they kind of worked together on this crime. If you really think about it, they worked together on the crime. Like, it wasn't just him. She let him in the house.
Yes,
like,
okay.
She was a part of the crime.
I will say yes.
She
was a part of the crime, but at the same time, what else was she supposed to do?
That's what I'm saying. It's such a difficult situation, yeah.
Because what else was she supposed to do? Because I felt like if she was to call the police and report it that, like, yeah, my mom is lying, I'm really not sick, I don't think the police would have did anything. And I feel like Dee Dee would have manipulated them in thinking, no, yeah, she's really sick. Like, I think she's off her meds today or something.
That's exactly what she probably would have said. Yeah, so I feel like it's such a difficult situation for Gypsy because it's like there was no other way for her to escape it. But, you know, you still committed a crime. So it's like
you still have to serve.
It's like so difficult. Like, that's the one little knot in this case. Like, it's yeah. So
it was like she was also a victim, but also an accomplice of the murder too.
Exactly.
So it's kind of like hard to weigh out. It's like, do we say that she's a victim and let her go, or do we say she's an accomplice of the murder and send her to jail?
It is so like it's a lot, y'all. Prosecutors did not deny the background of abuse, but stressed that Dee Dee was still killed. Like we said, it was still a crime. Gypsy took a plea in 2016 and pleaded guilty to second-degree murder.
And as part of a plea deal with prosecutors, Gypsy will spend 10 years in jail. She will only get the possibility of probation if she serves 8 years of her sentence.
Ultimately, the sentence that we agreed upon is a testament to the amount of abuse that we uncovered that her mother was heaping upon her.
She was sentenced to 10 years in prison, and she was released on December 28th, 2023.
Yes.
And everybody on TikTok, you know, now we have TikTok, Instagram, we got all that now. So everybody on TikTok was literally anticipating her getting out. It was so many memes made. Everybody was like, I'm not saying excited, but they just wanted to see what was going to happen next.
What was going to happen.
Like, yeah, basically, everybody was kind of participating all of her release.
Like her comeback.
Yeah, her comeback. Because, we didn't know what was going to happen. And she did have a few little, things that kind of went viral. And she also had a child. Gypsy has a child, yeah.
And she had a boyfriend while she was in jail.
She had a boyfriend. She had a lot going on. And she also, I think it was on Lifetime, I believe. She has her own show. So she got Life Behind. I think it's on Lifetime. I would check it out, but everybody's also participating in that show because they want to see what she has to say.
I don't want to go through my whole life being the girl that murdered her mother. You know my story. All right, now let's see what I do with my life.
She was released on parole, making the case popular again. Her liberation brought up the topics of justice, trauma, and legal system response to cases when it comes to the victims of abuse committing a serious offense. So she basically kind of brought up different types of attention to, like they said, trauma, legal, kind of like because when she got arrested, it was way different. That was like 2016. Now it's 2023 when she got released, so it was like a whole different, completely different world. Like, she's coming back from a coma and then coming back in like the early 2020s. Like, it's kind of crazy. To most people who have watched the film, the tale is a constant reminder that there is no backstories. There are backstories of manipulation, controls, and survival behind many crimes. So that's all about it, guys.
Thank you for tuning in to True Crime with ABJAC, and we'll be back for another episode.
Yeah, stay tuned, guys.